Hi everybody, welcome to Live Blogger. I have combined all the videos in our grid layout post design series into this single long video so that it's easy for you to follow. Now in this video, we are basically going to create this design right here using HTML, CSS and JavaScript. And this is also responsive. So if I decrease the width of the browser window, this is how it will look on a tablet screen. And this is how it will look on a smartphone. So it is completely responsive. And in the end, I'll also show you how to add this design to your Blogger website. So here we can see that this is a simple Blogger website with the Contempo Light theme, which comes by default with Blogger. And here we can see that in the homepage, we have customized the display of the posts with this design right here. And here we can see that all these posts are from our Blogger website and they are displayed over here. And we also have this load more button. And if I click on that, we can see that more posts are displayed over here. And we can also click on any of these blog posts and we'll be taken to that post. And here we can see that this is also responsive. So in this video, we will do all of this, and I will also leave the link of the source code in the description of this video. So you can go ahead and copy and paste this code to your websites. So let's get started. Now in this video, we will just create the design using HTML and CSS. And in the next video, I'll show you how to update the content of these posts using JavaScript easily. So here I have created this folder called blog posts, and I just opened it with VS Code. And I also have this folder called images where we have these 4 images which we're going to use in our design. So let's go ahead and start by creating the necessary files. So let's create a new file called index.html. And let's create another file called style.css. And we'll also need a JavaScript file. I'll just name it main.js. So let's start with the index.html file. Now in VS Code, you can just press exclamation and press tab, and you will have this basic HTML5 code. Right, let's link our CSS file over here, and here in the body, I'll just link the JavaScript file. And now let's start with the markup of our design. So the first thing we will do is we'll create a container division for all the blog posts. So let's create a container division and let's give it a class of blog posts container. And in that, for each of the blog posts, I'll just create a division with the class of blog post. And in this, we will have the thumbnail first of all. So for that, let's create a division and let's give it a class of thumbnail. And that we will have the image, and in the source, I'll just type images / and I'll just add the first image over here. And then we can see that we have all this content on the right side, and we'll add all of this content inside a separate division. So let's go outside this thumbnail division and let's create a division with the class of text content. And in that, the first thing we need to have is the label. So let's create a division with the class of label, and let's add the label over here. So I'll just type master class. And then we need to have the title. So let's copy this title from here. And let's create an S3 for the title, and let's give it a class of post title. Let's paste the title over here. And then we need to have the summary. So I'll just copy this summary from here. And let's create a division with the class of summary. And I'll just paste the summary over here. And then lastly, we need to have this button for read more. So let's create an anchor tag for the button. And here you can add the link of your post. I'll just add hash for now. And let's give it a class of read more button. And in here, I'll just type read more. Right now, let's go ahead and copy this blog post 3 more times. So let's copy this blog post division from here, and let's paste it 3 more times over here. Right now, let's start styling this. So first of all, let's open this in the browser and let's see how it looks. So I have this extension called Live Server installed in VS Code. So once you install that, you can just right click over here in the HTML file and click on Open with Live Server. And now we can see that the design is being displayed over here. Right now, let's go to our CSS file and let's start styling this. So first of all, let's target the container division, which is blog post container. So let's type blog posts container. Let's set a max width and let's set it to 800 pixels. And let's also bring it to the center. So I'll just have margin 0, top and bottom, and auto for left and right. And let's also set the display to grid. And now we need to have 2 items in a row. So let's type grid template columns, and here you need to type 1FR, which means there will be 2 columns with the same width. So now if you go back, here we can see that we have 2 of these posts displayed side by side. Right now let's also set the font. So we'll set the font to Rubik. So let's get the font link from Google Fonts. Alright, so here I'm in fonts.google.com, and let's search for Rubik. And let's select this font, and we need to have the bold version and also the regular one. So let's select regular 400, and let's also select the bold version, which is I think semi-bold 600. So let's select this, and let's go ahead and copy the link from here. Or you can also copy the link of the CSS. So I'll just go to import, and let's copy this from here, and let's add this to our CSS. So I'll just paste it at the beginning. And now let's go ahead and set the font. So I'll just have font family, and let's set it to Rubik sans serif. We'll also add a gap between these elements. So we'll set a gap of 32 pixels between the blog post divisions. Right now, the next thing we need to do is we need to set the width and the height of this image. So for that, let's go ahead and target that. I'll just type blog post container, and let's type img, and let's set the width of the image to 100% of the parent. And now we can see we have the correct width for the image. Let's also set a specific height. So I'll just type height, and let's set it to 220 pixels. And we'll also set object fit to cover so that it has the correct aspect ratio. And let me just quickly go ahead and change the images so that we can have some variations. So I'll just set this to 2.jpg, and this to 3.jpg, and this one to 4.jpg. Right now, let's go ahead and style these blog post divisions. So here we can see we have these divisions with the class of blog post. So let's type blog post container, blog post, and we will set the border radius to 16 pixels so that it has rounded corners. And now we can see that the rounded corners are not added to these images. That's because for the image we don't have the rounded corners. So for that, you have to type overflow of hidden to the container division. And now we can see we have the rounded corners. Right now, let's go ahead and add some box shadow. So I'll just type box shadow, and let's set the values to 0, 6 pixels, 30 pixels, negative 8 pixels, RGBA, 0, 0, 0, and 0.3. And now we can see we have this box shadow. Right now, let's add some padding to this text content. So here we can see we have this division with a class of text content. So here let's type blog post container, text content, and let's set a padding of 16 pixels. Right now, let's style these labels. So for the labels, we have this division with a class of label. So let's type blog post container, label, and let's set the font size to 13 pixels. And let's set the text transform to uppercase. And we'll set the font weight to bold. And let's also set the color of the text to 4C5 BFF. Right now, let's style these titles. So for the title, we have this S3 with the class of post title. So let's type blog post container, s3.post title. And let's set the font size to 20 pixels. And we'll set the margin to 16 pixels top and bottom, and 0 for left and right. Right now, let's style this summary. So for the summary, we have this division with the class of summary. So here let's type blog post container, summary, and let's set the line height to 1.8, and let's set the font size to 15 pixels. Right now, let's style this read more button. So for the read more button, we have this anchor tag with the class of read more btn. So let's type blog post container read more btn, and let's set the text transform to uppercase, and we'll set the font size to 13 pixels, and let's also remove the underlines. So for that you have to type text decoration none, and let's set the color of the text to black, and let's add some margin. So I'll just type margin 8 pixels top and bottom, and 0 for left and right. And we can see that the margins are not being added. That's because anchor tags are inline elements by default. So we need to change it into display of inline block. And now we can see that the margins are being added. So if I just add it to a higher value, we can see that the margins are being added. So now let's go ahead and add a background color. So just type background, and let's set the color to ECEDFA, and let's also add some padding. So let's set the padding to 4 pixels top and bottom, and 8 pixels left and right. And let's also add rounded corners. So I'll just type border radius, and let's set it to 10 pixels. Right now let's add a hover effect. So if you go back to the original design, we can see that when we hover over this, we have a different background color. So let's type blog post container read more button hover, and let's set the background color to B4 B9FF, and let's also add smooth transition. So here let's tap transition, and let's set it to all 400 milliseconds ease, and now we have this smooth transition. Now we need to bring this button to the right side. So for that, let's go ahead and change the container division to a flex, which is text content. So here we can see we have text content. So I'll just set the display to flex, and we'll also set the flex direction to column. So let's type flex direction column, and now let's go ahead and align this button to the right side. So here for the read more button, let's type align self flex end, and now we can see that the button is on the right side. Right, so that's basically it with the cards at the bottom. Now let's go ahead and style this first card over here. So for the first one, we need to have full width, which spans the 2 columns. So for that, let's go ahead and target the first blog post division. So just a blog post container, blog post colon first child. So this will select the first instance of blog post. And for the first one, we need to type grid column, and we need to set it to 1 by 3, which will span 2 columns. So it will start from the first column and go till the start of the third column. So now we can see that the first post has this full width, which spans 2 columns. And now we need to bring this thumbnail to the left side and the text content on the right side. So let's go ahead and set a display of flex, and now we can see that it looks alright. We'll also bring everything to the center vertically. So I'll just type align items to the center. Right now let's increase the width of this image a little bit. So let's type blog post container, blog post first child img, and let's set the width to 240 pixels. And now we can see at the bottom we have a little bit of space. So for that, you can just set the display to flex, and now we can see it is fixed. Right now, let's quickly go ahead and make this responsive. So here we can see we have 2 breakpoints. For the first one, we have this design where we have 2 items in a row. So for that, let's go ahead and add a media query. So I'll just tap add media, and we'll set the max width to 700 pixels. So whenever the width of the screen is less than 700 pixels, all the CSS we have inside this block will be added to our page. So the first thing we need to do is we need to select this first child. So let's copy this selector from here, and I'll just paste it over here. And here we need to set grid column, and we need to set it back to 1. And now we need to set the flex direction to column. So I'll just have flex direction column, and let's also reset the width of the image. So I'll just go ahead and copy this code from here, and let's paste it over here. And I'll just change the width of the image to 100%. And now we can see it looks alright. But for the image, we don't have the correct width. So that's because we have set the align items to center over here. So here we need to change it to normal. So let's tap align items, normal. And now we can see it has the correct width. Now we'll also reduce the gap between these elements. So for that, let's target the blog post container. So I'll just tap blog post container. And let's set the gap to 16 pixels. Right now, lastly, we need to have one more breakpoint for the smartphone version. So this is how it looks. We need to have one item in a row. So for that, let's go ahead and add a new media query. So I'll just tap add media. And let's set the max width to 600 pixels. And here we need to set just one item in a row. So here we can see that we have set grid template columns to 1FR, 1FR. So we need to copy this. And here let's type blog post container. And here instead of 1FR, 1FR, we need to just type 1FR. And now we can see it looks alright. So with that, we have completed designing this blog post page using HTML and CSS. Now all this content that you see over here is hard-coded in our HTML. So if you go to the code, here in the HTML, we can see that we have added all these titles, thumbnails, and all these things over here in the HTML. So all this content is hard-coded in the HTML. Now in this video, I'll show you how to add all this content to your JavaScript file. And you can make the changes over there and all the content will be updated in the HTML. And that's basically how it is done in a real website. So in a real website, you will get all this content in an API most probably. So you need to display all this content from the JavaScript and you need to generate the HTML in the JavaScript. So in this video, I'll show you how to do that. Let's get started. Right now, the first thing we need to do is we need to check whether the JavaScript file is linked in our HTML file. So here we can see that we have already linked it. Right now, the next thing we need to do is we need to create an array of objects. So you can just name this anything you want. I'll just name it all posts. And here you can create an array and in that you can create objects for each of the posts. So in this, we need to add the title and you can go ahead and add the title of your first post over here. And then you can add the thumbnail URL and then you can add all the other content that you see over here. So you need to add the label, the link of the post and the summary and all those things over here. So I'll just quickly go ahead and copy and paste some data that I have over here. Alright, so here I have copied and pasted all this data for posts. And we have 4 posts over here. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to generate the HTML that you see over here inside the JavaScript. And we need to loop through all these posts and we need to generate the HTML for each of the posts and then add it to our design. So the first thing we need to do is we need to reference the container division. So let's reference this division right here, which has a class of blog post container. So here let's tap const blog posts container equals document.query selector. And let's type blog posts container. And then let's go ahead and create a function to generate the HTML. So let's create a function called generate posts HTML. And I'll just call the function over here. Now in this function, we need to loop through all these posts. So we have this array called all posts. So let's go ahead and type all posts. And for looping, we will use the for each loop. So let's type for each. And then I'll call each of the post p. And let's create an arrow function over here. Now in this, we need to add the HTML. So let's create a const called HTML. And let's use backticks. And let's go back to the HTML file. And let's copy the HTML inside one of these blog posts. So let's copy from here till here. And let's paste it over here. So this is going to be the HTML. And now what you need to do is you need to create a division with a class of blog post. And you need to add all this HTML inside that division. So let's go ahead and create a division. Let's type const blog post equals document dot create element. And here let's type div. And we need to add a class of blog post to that. So let's type blog post dot class list dot add, and let's type blog post. And we need to add this HTML inside the blog post. So let's type blog post dot inner HTML equals HTML. And then we need to append this blog post to this blog post container. So here let's type blog post container dot append child blog post. And now you can go back to the HTML file and you can delete everything inside this blog post container division. So let's select from here till here and let's delete all of this. So we just have this blog post container division. Right now the next thing we need to do is we need to update all the details. So right now we can see that we have just added this data, and this data is hard coded over here. So we need to add the data from each of these blog posts. So we are referencing each of them by P. So here instead of the value of this src, we need to add the thumbnail over here. So here we can see in the thumbnail we have added images / and the names of these images. And we have all these details over here: title, label, thumbnail, summary, and link. So let's go ahead and change this src. Now when we have to add a variable, we can just type $symbol curly braces, and here you can type p dot, and we have thumbnail over here. And then for the label, let's delete this and let's type $symbol curly braces p dot label. And then for the title, let's delete this and let's type $symbol curly braces p dot title. And then we have the summary, so let's delete this and let's type $symbol curly braces p dot summary. And then for the href, which is the link of the post, we need to type $symbol curly braces p dot link. Right now let's go back to our website, and here we can see that all the content is displayed over here, and all this data is coming from our JavaScript array. So let's go ahead and make some changes and let's see whether it is being applied. So here we have CSS grid simplified. So here we have this title. I'll just change this to updated. And now if you go back, here we can see that the title is updated. So all the data is coming from the JavaScript array. So if you want to make any changes, you can make them over here. Now this same code can be useful if you are getting data from an API. So you can store all the details of the API inside an array of objects just like this, and you can just loop through the array over here. And now if you want to make any changes in the HTML, you can just do that over here for this single HTML code over here. So for example, you can just type label over here, and now we can see that label is added for all the labels. So we can just make the changes in this one instance of the HTML and it will be added to all these blog post divisions. So it is really easy to update the content using this method. Right here I'm in the dashboard of my Blogger website, and I'm using this theme called Contempo-Lite, which comes by default with Blogger. Now if I go ahead and open this blog, so if I click on view blog, this is how it looks. So this is our Contempo-Lite theme. Now in the home page, we want to display these posts in this grid layout that you see over here. So for that, let's go to the theme code. So let's click on this arrow and let's click on edit HTML. And here we need to add our code for this design. So I will leave the link of the source code in the description of this video. So this is the source code. We have the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript over here. Now we need to add all of this to our Blogger theme code. But before that, let's go ahead and add an if condition. So in the home page, we will just display something else. And in all the other pages, we want to display the blog content. So for example, if you go to this post, you want to display these headings and this content over here. But if you go to the home page, we'll just hide this blog content over here. So for that, let's go back to the theme code and let's click on this button called jump to widget, and let's click on blog 1. And now we need to find the section that has this blog widget. So let's scroll up and let's find a section. So here we can see we have this section, and it has this class of main and ID of page body. So in this section, we have the blog widget. So let's go ahead and make some space over here. And I'll just fold this section by clicking on this arrow. And now we can see that this is a section which contains the blog widget. So all the content that you see over here, which is the list of blog posts, are displayed because of this section. So let's go ahead and add an if condition. So I'll just type less than b colon if, and let's add a condition. And in the condition, we need to type not data colon view dot is homepage. So this will check whether we are not on the homepage, and if we are not on the homepage, then it will return true. So whatever we have inside this if condition will be executed. Alright, let's go outside this section, and here let's add an else. So let's type less than b colon else, and in this else we'll just for now I'll just add an h2, and let's type testing. Alright, now let's go ahead and close the if condition. So we can just type less than / b colon if, and now the if condition has ended. So here we are checking whether we are not on the home page, and if you are not on the home page, then we'll just execute this section, and if you are on the home page, then we'll just display testing. So let's save this and let's see whether this works. So let's click on save. And now let's go back to our website and let's refresh this page. And now we can see in the home page we have testing displayed. But if you go to any post, so let's open a post. If I refresh this, we can see that the content of the post is displayed over here. So we don't have any problems in any other pages. But if you go to the home page, we don't have the blog post displayed over here. We just have this testing. Right now what we need to do is we need to display this design instead of testing. So let's add that. Let's go back to our theme code and let's fold this section once again. And here instead of testing, let's add the HTML. So let's go to our source code. And here we have the HTML, and this is the only line of code we need to add. So let's copy this and let's paste it over here. But now we need to add the CSS. So let's scroll up and let's find the CSS of the theme. So here we can see we have the CSS of the theme, and let's go to the end and make some space. And let's add a comment. I'll just type custom blog posts design. And let's go back to our source code and let's go to the style.css file and let's copy all the CSS from here and let's paste it over here. Right now we need to add the JavaScript. So let's scroll down and let's go to the end of our theme code, and just before the body tag ends, I'll just add a script tag. And let's go back to our source code and let's go to the main.js file. And let's copy this JavaScript from here. And let's go ahead and paste it over here inside this script tag. Right now if we scroll up here, we can see that we have these images, and the source of the images are set to images/1.jpg. And we are using this thumbnail over here in the HTML. Here we can see that we are generating the HTML, and in that for the image, we are adding the thumbnail as the source of the image. And here for the thumbnail, we are just setting it to images/the image name. But in our Blogger website, we don't have this images folder. So for now, I'll just add a testing image over here. So I'll just find an image online and I'll just paste it over here just for testing. Alright, so here I'm in pexels.com and you can find free images over here. So let's search for something. I'll just search for, let's try technology. And I'll just filter by horizontal. And let's go ahead and copy one of these images. So I'll just copy this image right here. So let's right click and let's click on copy image address. And let's paste it over here. And we can just remove everything after JPEG. And I'll just copy this and paste it for all the other thumbnails because we're just using it to test the design. Right now, let's go ahead and save this and let's see whether it displays correctly. So let's click on save. So let's go back to our website and I'll just refresh this page. And here we can see that our design is being displayed. We have some problems in the CSS, so we'll just fix that. Now the first thing we need to do is we need to fix the width of this image. So here we can see that we have a lot more width. So let's right click over here and let's go to inspect and let's see what's the problem. And let's go to the CSS. So here we have selected the image, and here we have set the width to 240 pixels, but it is not being added. So if you scroll down, here we can see that in the theme it has already set the max width to this value right here. So if I just uncheck this, now we can see that we have the correct width for the image. So we need to unset max width from the IMG. So let's go back and let's go to the CSS and let's go ahead and write the CSS for that. So here I'll just type blog post container, which is our container division, IMG, and we need to set the max width to unset. Right now let's go back to the inspector, and here we need to set a background color for this card. So if I select this, here we need to select the blog post division and we need to add a background color. So here we'll just type background white, and now we can see that it looks alright. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go over here and let's type blog posts container, blog post, and here let's type background and let's set it to white. Right now let's save this and let's go back to our website and let's refresh this page, and now we can see we don't have any problems. Right now let's go ahead and display the content of our blog posts over here instead of these values, and for that we're going to use blogger JSON feed. So let's go back to our theme code and let's scroll down, and here we need to make some changes in the JavaScript. So the first thing we need to do is we need to create a script tag, and here we need to add a specific source. So let's type src equals, and here we need to type /feeds /posts /summary alt equals JSON in script ampersand, and since we are writing this in an XML file, we also have to type amp semicolon, and then we need to add a callback. So let's type callback, and here we need to add the name of a function, and I'll just call the function handle all posts. Now this line of code will give us some data about our blogger posts. So let's go ahead and create this function called handle all posts. So let's type const handle all posts, and we're going to get some data, and I'll just call it data, and let's create an arrow function over here. And first of all, let me just go ahead and console.log the data, and let's see what data we are getting. So let's type console.log, and I'll just type data, and let's add the data variable over here, and let's go ahead and click on save. Right now let's go back to our website and let's open the console, and I'll just dog this to the left side, and let's refresh this page and let's see whether we get any data over here. So let's reload this page, and here we can see we are getting some data, and if I open this, we have feed, and if I open the feed, we have some details about our website. We have the author, category, and all those things over here, but we are interested in entry, so let's click on entry, and here we have all the posts in our blogger website. So if you open the first one, here we have this title, how to make your life easy. So if you go back to our list of posts, here we can see that we have the first post over here. So we are getting the correct data in this feed entry. Now if you go to the JavaScript of our website, here we can see that we are having this array with the name of all posts, and in that we have the blog details, and we are using them over here. So what we can do is we can store the data that we get from here to this all posts, and then we can go ahead and do the same thing that we do over here. So let's go ahead and store the data from feed entry to all posts. So let's go back and let's go ahead and delete all these values over here. So now we can see we have this empty all posts array. I'll just change this to let. So here we have this empty array called all posts, and let's go ahead and store the data. So here let's type all posts equals data dot feed dot entry. So here we are getting the data, and in that we have feed, and in the feed we have entry, and we are storing that inside our all posts array. So I'll just go ahead and console.log it over here. So I'll just cut this from here, and here let's type console.log all posts, and if I save this, and if I go back to the website and if I refresh this page, here we can see that we have the list of all the blog posts over here. Now let's go ahead and get the details from here, and let's add it to our HTML. Alright, so let's create some constants for all the details. So the first thing we need to have is the title. So let's type const title equals, and let's go back to our website, and let's see where is the title. So here we have the title, and in the title we have $T, and there we have the title. So here let's type P, because we are calling each of the individual elements P, and then we have dot title, and then we have $T. Right, now the next thing we need to have is the thumbnail. So let's type const thumbnail equals, and let's go back and let's see where is the thumbnail. So for the first post we don't have the thumbnail. Let's open the second one, and here we have the thumbnail, and for the thumbnail we have media $thumbnail, and in that we have the URL. So here let's type p.media $thumbnail .url. Now there are instances where the thumbnail is not available, so let's add a backup thumbnail for that. So here we will use ternary operator, so we can just type p.media $thumbnail, and here we can add a question mark. So if we have the media thumbnail, then this portion of code will be executed, and here we can add colon, and we can add what should happen if it is not true. So here let's add the link of a backup thumbnail. So let's go ahead and upload one. So let's go over here to pages, and let's open a random page. So this is a draft, so I'll just open it, and let's upload the image over here, and let's get the link and paste it over here. So let's click on insert image, upload from computer, and let's click on choose files. And here we have this image called thumbnail placeholder. So I'll just open it, and let's just select it, and let's click on select, and I'll just select the original size and OK. And here we have the image, and let's get the href. So here we have the href. So this is basically the link of the image. So let's copy this link from here, and let's go back and let's paste it over here as a backup thumbnail. And now if we go back to our website, and if I open the thumbnail, so let's go ahead and open this URL. Here we can see when we open this thumbnail, the size of the thumbnail is too low. So that's because if we take a look at the URL, here we have S72, and this is the resolution. So if I just change this to, for example, S300, and if I press enter, now we can see we have a bigger thumbnail. So we need to replace S72 with something different. So let's go back, and here let's type URL dot replace, and here let's type /S72, and let's replace it with /S300. Alright, that's it with the thumbnail. Now let's go ahead and create the next constant. So let's type const. The next thing we need to have is the label. So here we can see we have this label. So we need to get the label as well. So for the label, let's create a const called label. And let's go back to our website, and let's see where is the label. Let's go back to the list of posts, and let's see whether we have any labels. So here we can see we have these labels AI and tips for the first post, and then we have these labels for all the other posts. So let's go ahead and see where are the labels. And here we can see that the labels are displayed inside category. So the category is basically an array, and we'll just display the first label over here. So in that we have term. So let's go ahead and add that. So here let's type p dot category, and let's select the first item, and then we have dot term, and there may be some posts which don't have category, so let's add a ternary operator over here as well. So let's type p dot category question mark, and if we have the category, then we'll display this term, and if you don't have the category, then we just type uncategorized. Right, now the next thing we need is the summary, so let's type const summary equals, and let's go back to our website, and for the summary we have summary, and in that we have $T. So let's type p.summary.$T, and then we need to have the link, so let's type const link equals, and let's go back over here, and here we have the link, and here we can see that the fifth element is actually the link of the post. So in that we have href, so here let's type p.link, and here let's type 4 because arrays start from 0, so we need to type 4 for the fifth element, and that we have .href. Alright, so that's it with all the constants. Now let's go ahead and add these details to the HTML. So here the first thing we need to add is the alt of the image. So for the alt, I'll just add the title of our post. So for that we have this const called title. So let's type $curly braces title, and here we have the thumbnail, so we need to just remove p dot from here, and then we have the label, so I'll just remove p dot, and then we have the title, so I'll just remove this p dot, then we have the summary, and then we have the link. Alright, so with that we have added all the details to our HTML. Now the last thing we need to do is we need to call this generate HTML function. So we are calling it over here, so we need to cut it from here, and we need to call it inside this handle all posts function. So let's paste the function call over here, and now we can just delete this console log from here, and let's save it, and let's see whether everything works all right. Let's go back to our website and let's refresh this page, and here we can see all the posts are being displayed, and when we don't have the thumbnail, we have this placeholder thumbnail displayed over here, and everything is working all right. When we don't have any labels, we have uncategorized displayed over here. Now here we can see that the length of the summary is too much, so let's go ahead and set a max height for this summary. So for that, let's right click over here and let's go to inspect, and here for the summary, let's add a max height, and let's set it to 56 pixels, and let's also set overflow to hidden so that anything outside the height is not being displayed. So I think that looks alright. So let's go ahead and copy these 2 lines of CSS from here, and let's go back to our code and let's go to the CSS, and here in the summary we need to add those 2 lines of CSS, and now let's save this, and let's go back to our website and let's refresh this page, and now we can see everything looks alright, we don't have any problems. And let's also check out the responsive version. So here we have the tablet version and it looks alright, and then we have the mobile version and it also looks alright. And let's see whether the link is working alright. So let's click on read more, and we can see that the post is also being opened correctly. Now the last thing we will do is we'll also add the link to this thumbnail and this title. So let's go back and let's go to the HTML. So here in the JavaScript we are generating the HTML, and here instead of just this img tag, we'll just add an anchor tag before that. So let's type a, and in the href let's add the link of the post. So let's type $curly braces link, and let's close the anchor tag over here after the img tag, and let's do the same for the heading. So here we have this S3, so I'll just go ahead and wrap this with an anchor tag, and let's set the href to dollar symbol curly braces, link, and let's close the anchor tag over here. Right now, let's go ahead and save this. And let's go back to our website and let's refresh this page. And now here we have these posts, and let's click on this thumbnail. And we can see that we are taken to this post. Let's also click on the title. And here also we are taken to the post. So everything is working all right. So that's basically how you can customize the design of your blog posts in your Blogger website. Now in this design, we can see that all the blog posts of our website are displayed over here. So if we have hundreds of blog posts, then all of them will be loaded. Now we don't want that to happen. We want to display a limited number of posts at a time. So in this video, I'll show you how to add a load more button over here. So by default, a limited number of blog posts will be displayed. And when we click on the load more button, more blog posts will be displayed. So we will do that in this video. Let's get started. So the first thing we will do is we'll create the button. So let's go back to the theme code and let's click on this arrow and let's click on edit HTML. Let's scroll down and let's go to the HTML, and for the HTML we have a class of blog post container. So I'll just search for that over here. I'll just press Command F and let's type class equals blog posts container. And here we can see we have the HTML. Now after this blog post container, we will add the load more button. So let's create a button tag for that. And in this button tag, we will add a text of load more. So let's type load more. And let's also give it a class. So let's type class and let's set it to load more btn. Right now, let's go ahead and add some basic styling to that. So let's go to the styles section, and here we have all the CSS. So let's scroll down and here let's type load more button and let's add some CSS. I'll just type margin and let's set it to 24 pixels top and bottom and auto for left and right. By default, the button tag will be display of inline. So we will change it to display of block so that it has the full width. And now let's set a padding and let's set it to 8 pixels and 32 pixels. And let's add rounded corners. So I'll just type border radius and let's set the value to 10 pixels. And we will set the border to none. And let's add a background color of dark gray. And let's set the color of the text to white. Right now, let's go ahead and save this and let's see whether the button is being displayed in our home page. So let's go back to our website and let's refresh this page. And now if we scroll down, here we can see that we have the load more button displayed. Right now, let's start with the functionality. So let's go back to our theme code and let's go to the JavaScript code. And here we can see that we are getting the details of the posts in this line of code. Now here we need to limit the number of results that we get. So here let's add a new param. So I'll just type ampersand amp semicolon and let's type max results. And we need to set it to a lower value. So I'll just type 5. You can add any number you want over here. And now let's click on save. And now if you go back to our website and if I refresh this page, and now if you scroll down, we can see that we have just 5 posts displayed over here. Right now, let's go ahead and write the functionality of loading more posts. So let's go back to the JavaScript. And the first thing we will do is we'll reference the load more button. So we had given it a class of load more btn. So let's type const load more btn equals document dot query selector. And let's type load more btn. Right now we need to add an event listener to this load more button. So let's type load more btn dot add event listener. And we need to listen for the click event. So let's type click. And let's create an arrow function over here. And here we need to call a function, and I'll just call the function load more posts. And let's create the function over here. So let's type const load more posts. Now before continuing with this load more posts function, let's create two variables. So we need to create a variable for the current page. So let's type let current page, and by default we will set it to 1. And now let's create another variable, and I'll just name it posts per page, and let's set it to 5. Right now in this function, the first thing we need to do is we need to fetch the next set of posts. So for that we will use the fetch API. So I'll just store the result inside a const called response, and let's set it equal to fetch, and here we need to add the URL. So let's add backticks, and we need to copy this same URL from here, and we need to paste it over here, and we also need to add the link of the home page. So let's go back and let's copy this, and let's paste it over here. Now here in the max results, let's change this to the variable that we created. So it is posts per page. So let's type $symbol curly braces, posts per page. And we also need to add a start index. So we don't want to fetch everything from the beginning. We want to fetch it from the next posts. So let's type ampersand. And since we are writing this inside an XML file, we need to also type AMP semicolon. And let's type start index. And we need to set it to the current page times posts per page plus 1. So let's type current page times posts per page plus 1. So what this is going to do is, right now the current page is set to 1 and the posts per page is set to 5. So this value will be 1 times 5 plus 1, which is 6. So the start index will be 6. So it will start from the 6th post. Right now this fetch API returns us a promise. So here we need to type await. And since we are using await, we need to change this function into an async function. So here let's type async. Right now the next thing we will do is we will check whether the response is okay. So let's type if response dot okay. And if the response is okay, let's type const, and let's create a const called data, and let's set it equal to await, and we'll get the response. So let's type response dot JSON. So this will give us the JSON data from the response. And as we saw in the previous video, we are getting the data as data.feed.entry. So let's go ahead and store that inside a constant. So I'll just name it const entries, and let's set it equal to data.feed.entry. Right now we need to check whether we have the entries variable present, and we also need to check whether the length of the entries is greater than 0. So we need to have at least one more post remaining. So let's type if entries ampersand ampersand. Now since this is XML, we also need to type AMP semicolon instead of ampersand. And let's type entries dot length, and let's see whether it is greater than 0. And if it is so, then we need to go ahead and store the data inside the all posts variable. So here we can see we have this all posts array. So we will store the data to that array. So let's go ahead and type all posts dot push, and here we need to push everything from the entries. So we need to spread it. So let's type dot 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 entries, and now we need to call the function to generate the HTML. So here we have this function called generate posts HTML. So let's copy this, and let's paste it down here, and let's call the function. And then we also need to increment the current page. So we need to set it to 2. So let's type current page plus plus. So it will increment it by 1. Right now let's save this and let's see whether it works. So let's click on save. Let's go back to our website, and let's reload this page. And let's scroll down and let's click on the load more button, and let's see whether we have any problems. So let's click on load more. And we don't have anything happening. So let's check out the console and let's see what is the error. So let's click on inspect and let's go to console, and here we can see we have some errors. So syntax error, unexpected token, and it is not a valid JSON. So let's go back, and the problem is with the fetch call because we are not getting a valid JSON data. So let's go back, And here's the issue, we don't need to add JSON in script for the fetch call, and we also don't need to have the callback for the fetch call. We need to have that for this script src over here. So let's go ahead and remove that. So let's remove this callback handle all posts, and let's also remove everything till here. So the link is the homepage /feeds post summary (alt equals JSON), and then we have the max results and the start index. Right now let's save this and let's see whether everything works all right. Let's go back to our home page and let's refresh this page. Let's scroll down and let's click on the load more button. And here we can see more posts are being loaded, but everything from the first post are being displayed over here. So here we can see that how to make your life easy with ChatGPT. And if you scroll up, it is the first post over here. So before adding this to the HTML, we need to reset the HTML. So let's go back. And here in the generate HTML function, so in this function over here, before the for each loop, I'll just type blog post container, and in that we are adding the HTML. So here I'll just type inner HTML equals blank, and let's save this. And now let's go back to our home page and let's refresh this page. And let's scroll down and let's click on this load more button. And now we can see that the next posts are being displayed over here. And this is the last post, but here we still have the load more button. So we need to hide the load more button when we don't have any more posts. So let's go back. And here in this load more posts function, here let's add an if condition. And let's type if entries dot length is less than posts per page. So if it is the last page, then we just need to hide the load more button. So here let's type load more btn dot style dot display equals none. And here it is showing this error because we need to change less than to ampersand lt semicolon. Right now let's save this. And let's go back to the home page and let's reload this page. And here we have this load more button and let's click on it. And here we have the remaining posts, and now we don't have the load more button because this is the last post. So if you go back to the list of posts, here if we scroll down, here we can see that the last post is AI things you should learn. And here we have the last post. Alright, so that's basically how you can add the load more button to your Blogger website. So that's it for this video. If you have any doubts, you can ask in the comments below. And if you like this video, please click on the like button and subscribe to this channel to get the latest video updates. Thanks a lot for watching. Have a nice day.